Power has always belonged to those who control the system. Empires rise and empires fall. And right now, a new war is unfolding. If you enjoy stories about power and business, subscribe. Power has never been about weapons alone. It has always been about control. Control of resources, control of technology, control of the future. And right now, the biggest war in the world is already happening. But you don't see it. This is not a traditional war. There are no tanks, no missiles, no explosions. But the stakes are higher than ever. Because this war will decide who controls the global system. On one side, the United States, the dominant superpower for decades, leader in technology, finance, innovation. On the other side, China, rising fast, strategic, relentless, building influence across the world. This conflict is not fought on battlefields. It is fought through trade, through supply chains, through semiconductors. Because whoever controls technology controls everything. The United States has long dominated the global tech ecosystem, but China is closing the gap, investing massively, building its own systems, reducing dependence. At the same time, both countries are trying to weaken each other. Restrictions, sanctions, control of key resources. This is not coincidence. This is strategy. Because in modern power structures, control is not about territory. It is about systems. Who builds them? Who controls them? And who depends on them? And right now, the entire world is caught in the middle. Companies are forced to choose sides. Supply chains are being reshaped. Entire industries are being redefined. And this is just the beginning. Do you think this is just competition or something much bigger? Let me know in the comments. Because history has shown one thing. When power shifts, everything changes. Empires rise, empires fall. And those who understand the shift are the ones who survive it. To understand this new era, one must first understand how modern power truly functions. It is a system built on three pillars: technology, trade, and the rules that govern them both. Technology is the engine, the force that creates new possibilities and new forms of wealth. It is the ability to design the fastest microchips, to write the most sophisticated software, and to build the most efficient networks. Trade is the circulatory system, the mechanism through which the products of technology are distributed, creating dependencies and spheres of influence. And the rules, the standards, the regulations, the financial systems are the code that runs it all. Standards, the regulations, the financial systems, determining who benefits and who is left behind. Consider the intricate dance of a global supply chain. A smartphone, a symbol of modern life, is not born in one place. Its journey begins as raw materials extracted from mines in Africa or South America. These materials are shipped to Asia for processing. For the better part of a century, the United States occupied an enviable position, a fortress of technological and economic might. This fortress was not built with stone and mortar, but with innovation, open markets, a powerful network of alliances. American firms owned the foundational patents and the intellectual property that underpinned much of the digital revolution. Companies like Intel, Microsoft, Apple did not just sell products. They established the platforms upon which others were forced to build. This dominance created a virtuous cycle. Profit funded further research, which led to new breakthroughs, which in turn solidified America's lead. The financial system was another key bastion. The US dollar's status as the world's primary reserve currency gave Washington extraordinary leverage. Global trade in oil, commodities, finished goods was, and largely still is, conducted in dollars. This allows the United States to impose powerful sanctions. U.S. capital markets, deep and liquid, attracted investment from around the globe, fueling industry growth. American soft power, culture, its universities, its ideals, was a formidable asset. This combination of technological leadership, financial control, cultural influence made the United States seem unassailable. It created a sense of comfort, perhaps even complacency, that its position at the top was permanent. But every fortress has its vulnerabilities. Reliance on global supply chains began to look like a strategic weakness. Offshoring hollowed out domestic industrial capacity. The very openness that fueled innovation also allowed competitors to acquire knowledge and technology. China's rise was not an accident of history, deliberate, patient, long-term national strategy. It leveraged manufacturing dominance to climb the value chain, from toys and textiles to assembling electronics to manufacturing complex components. The government guided this process with state-directed investment, subsidies, strategic planning, building national champions. Through national plans like Made in China 2025, it targeted robotics, artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, semiconductors. It poured hundreds of billions into R&D, established new universities and labs, and recruited top scientific talent. Beyond its borders, China began building global arteries through the Belt and Road Initiative, a grand strategy to rewire trade routes. Ports in Pakistan and Sri Lanka, railways across Africa, digital networks in Southeast Asia, creating markets and deep ties. China's system, state capitalism, authoritarian control, offered a different development model: long-term direction, security over corporate autonomy. By building tech capabilities, creating financial institutions and partners, it was constructing an alternative system designed to rival and perhaps supplant the old. The stage was set for a confrontation between these two colossal systems. The conflict did not erupt with a sudden declaration of war. It began as quiet, deliberate escalations, a slow-motion collision of tectonic plates. The vocabulary is not armies and navies, but restrictions, sanctions, intense competition. It is a conflict fought by bureaucrats and engineers as much as by diplomats and spies. The United States began to act. Tariffs, targeted lists, leveraging choke points to limit rival advances. China retaliated, condemned technological hegemony, accelerated self-reliance, and crafted its own countermeasures. At the very heart of this technological struggle lies a single, tiny object: the semiconductor. These slivers of silicon are the brains of the modern world. They power everything from our smartphones and laptops to our cars and coffee makers. More importantly, they are essential for advanced military hardware, artificial intelligence systems, and supercomputers. For decades, the United States and its allies, namely Taiwan, South Korea, Japan, the Netherlands, dominated the semiconductor industry. American firms led in chip design, Taiwan became the master fabricator, and the Dutch built the indispensable lithography machines, a marvel of global cooperation and a critical choke point. China, the largest chip consumer, was dangerously dependent for its most advanced needs. Recognizing the threat, China launched an all-out effort to build a domestic industry, investing vast sums, recruiting talent, backing firms. The American response was decisive, sweeping export controls designed to halt progress. Not just chips, the tools of production were targeted, restricting advanced lithography to Chinese entities. Even prohibitions on U.S. persons supporting advanced Chinese chip development. A strategic move to sever the sinews of ambition, to freeze capabilities while allies surge ahead. America, Taiwan, South Korea expanded, racing to stay beyond reach. China did not yield, vowing self-sufficiency. Hence, the battle for semiconductor supremacy has become the central front in the U.S.-China tech war. The weapons of economic statecraft, trade, once the great connector, is now wielded as a tool of coercion. The rules that govern goods and money have become instruments of state power: tariffs, sanctions, investment screenings. The new artillery reshaping the economic landscape, not with explosions, but with executive orders, regulatory filings. They do not look like war, but the impact can be just as profound. Redirecting billions in investment, redrawing manufacturing maps. Export controls are surgical, withholding critical components to target key industries. A nation reliant on another for a vital part can find its supply cut off overnight. Companies and entire industries scramble to retool, find new suppliers, redesign products. Governments steer capital to strategic goals, funds, incentives, shields for national champions. The United States tightens screens on foreign investment, blocks deals deemed risks, prevents sensitive tech transfers. Influence grows via infrastructure, projects often embedding technology standards. Allies promote trusted networks and alternative financing. Both sides race to build partnerships, slowly dividing the world into competing spheres of influence. These are weapons designed to shape tomorrow's system. Collateral damage. Companies and nations caught between. Multinational corporations, built for an integrated market, now navigate a fractured landscape. A company that designs in America, manufactures in China, and sells globally is trapped between opposing rules, regulations, political demands. Impossible choices. Risk Washington's blacklist or lose China's vast market. Supply chains are re-examined, de-risking, decoupling, expensive, complex, severing decades-old relationships. Move a factory to Vietnam or Mexico to avoid tariffs and restrictions, or risk sudden disruptions, or accusations of complicity. Even where to store data has become a political decision. Smaller countries face a balancing act, pressured to choose sides. Accepting certain equipment might invite sanctions. Siding with Washington might trigger retaliation. We may see a splinter net. One sphere with Western apps and privacy norms, another under different rules of surveillance and control. Choosing a technology standard could mean choosing a geopolitical camp. Fragmentation threatens to slow innovation, increase costs, and complicate life for everyone. The consequences are felt in daily lives. Jobs once secure become precarious. A lifeblood factory may shut as supply lines reroute. Elsewhere, a new plant brings opportunity and disruption. As tariffs mount and relocations add cost, prices rise, passed on to consumers. New products are delayed by fractured rules. The seamless flow we took for granted is disrupted. The phone in your hand, the car you drive, all subject to these pressures. History teaches a fundamental truth. Empires that fail to master the dominant systems of their time lose ground. Roads, aqueducts, maritime trade, the telegraph. Today, power comes from controlling the networks, setting the standards, mastering the backbone technologies. Leaders are locked in a long, patient game to ensure their system endures. This contest will not be won in a single battle. Victory may not belong to the nation with the best jets, but with the most resilient supply chains. It may belong to the one that writes the quiet rules, builds coalitions, wins friends, and earns trust. It is a race of patience and strategy, a marathon of innovation and diplomacy. The risks are immense. A fractured world could be poorer, more dangerous, less innovative. Yet within risk lies the possibility of equilibrium, red lines, shared standards, a new set of rules for a multipolar world. As we stand here today, the systems are in flux, the pieces are still moving on the board. The quiet war for control of the future is waged every day. In laboratories, in legislatures, in corporate boardrooms, in covert operations. The stakes could not be higher. The result will determine the shape of the world for generations. The nature of progress, the meaning of security, the boundaries of human interaction. Great shifts are messy, unsettling, perilous. But also when the future is written. Who will control the system of tomorrow? If you want to understand the world differently, subscribe.